Thanks.
Great. I can't see the 4 teachers. So does one of the Mosaic teachers, could you give us an example of
I think we all but
I think I can share one, maybe.
yeah, that would be good.
Okay, so one activity that we did, we had like a small debate, I would say micro debate or something about a sentence, and normally in a classroom we would split into groups and discuss each group would, informative, and other team would discuss what to talk about the topic. But in Zoom, we used a feature that allowed us to split in 2 rooms. So I split the students into rooms, and we did it. It was good.
Okay, great. So hopefully now you can see question 21 on your screen. So with that activity in mind, can you tell us, how did you adapt this activity to deliver it in an online lesson?
As I said, we used the feature that allowed us to create a room, like split up rooms, like 2 rooms other than the main room. And then we moved the student into 2 rooms.
That is great. So we used the breakout. How many breakout rooms did you use?
So I have about, I used only 2 rooms, yeah. So each room had 3 to 4 students.
Great. So we used 2 breakout rooms, and then we moved 2 to 3 students into each room. And how did you monitor, or how did you continue to work with those 2 different breakout rooms, given that there's only 1 of you?
Okay, so what I did is I joined, so we separated in 2 rooms. So I joined the first room. I told them what to do, and then I asked one of them to lead the conversation in this room. So for example, I have 3 students here. I would say, Ahmad, you're in lead here. Please make sure that everyone is sharing, everyone is asking them the question. And another one, I would ask another one to take notes. So when we're back in the main room, they would be prepared as a team.
Great. So I caught most of that. That's a really good example. So let's just imagine that you identified 1 student to manage the activity. Let's say 1 student, I think you said to keep notes. And let's say 1 student to prepare the feedback after 10 minutes. So that's a really nice example of something that clearly we wouldn't be doing in a physical setting. Well, it would be unusual to send students into other rooms. We just put them in pairs, or we put them in small groups. But this is how you've adapted your teaching to online. I think because that's such a nice example, could you carry on and let me, were there any difficulties? Question 22, what difficulties did your learners face in that activity?
Well, it's something we face like most of the time, with is connection problem, and student like would not like hear each other very well, or like would like just the internet stop working for some reason.
Okay, so what do you do in that situation? Is it Fatima? I'm sorry, I can't see you. So is it Fatima?
Yes, Fatima.
Yeah, thanks, Fatima. What do you do if there are? I mean, you're probably very familiar with these not such a great connection for the internet. What do you do?
So we have like, we always kind of communicate through WhatsApp, through chat. So if someone told me, oh, we can't hear Asil, for example, so I would connect with Asil, see what the problem is. In some cases, we had like 1 student that has like we couldn't hear her at all, but she wanted to talk, and she always had very interesting ideas. So what she did is she recorded in WhatsApp, and then I played it for the other group through Zoom.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's also really useful. Could you just say that again with the student that communicated
So,
through WhatsApp? How did you kind
so
of?
she had, yeah, okay, she had very bad connection. We couldn't hear anything at all. So we connected through WhatsApp. She told me she's speaking, but we can't hear her. So I asked her to record her answers or like her opinion about this through WhatsApp, and then we play it back to the whole group on Zoom.
Great, and we played it back to the whole group. Okay, thank you, Fatima. That's a really good example, and what we'll want to do over the time of the research is to really understand how different modalities, different technologies, different languages, hopefully, fit into this process of sharing responses, in your case, to the lesson, that help us, you know, as teachers, continue to develop our learners' language skills, but also help them negotiate the different technologies that we're having to use at the moment. So that's it. That description there is plenty for now, but I think over the coming weeks, we'll start to try to add a little bit more of nuance to what is going on in quite a, I mean, that's, if you can get that to work, which it sounds like you did, that's a very effective way of having a student work with a new piece of language or practice at some target language, whilst they're involved in these different technologies. So that's a great example. Fatima, do you have an example connected to this about what did work well? So the connection wasn't great. Using WhatsApp was a solution. 23, what worked well about this activity?
I would say that it was kind of a debate, or like some people has like thought of it as competition or something. So everyone was very involved and excited to say what they think and to state their opinion, which is always great because like our course is conversation driven. So it's always great to see, yeah, excited to talk.
That's fantastic. So what it sounds, I might be getting carried away, but from what it sounds like you're saying is that as a way of getting around this issue with the connection and using these, you know, other forms of social media, the WhatsApp, it sort of generated a kind of enthusiasm. You called it a competitive element. It generated some sort of motivation there for the students to get involved. So if there's just a way of capturing what worked well, then this is the box, number 23. So a debate developed as there was a competitive element. Learners tried to comment, and I think you said something like get their point across, which as a pedagogy is a very successful way of having learners feel motivated. So you've got these constraints and these difficulties with the technology, but there are these opportunities to sort of engage with the language quite successfully. Fatima, you've given us lots of responses. Can you give us something at the end now? 24. Was anything about COVID-19 mentioned during this activity?
Actually, yes. Almost everything we say that there's something related. We were talking about food in general. So there was some mention about the recent closing of restaurant because of COVID-19.
Okay. And this is not always going to be a direct sort of link to the activity. and that's okay. It's okay to sort of move away from the one activity that you've uploaded and maybe think about the lesson more generally. But could you say a little, just how did this discussion around the restaurants and the closing of restaurants, can you remember how that came out of the lesson? Where did it appear and why did it appear?
Okay, so in one of the when they split into rooms, so in one of the room, who were like, they were making points about like government should give extra tax for the fast food restaurants so they can fight obesity. And then one of the students said, during COVID-19, so many restaurants closed and we all survived. I think just people need to learn how to cook and stop eating outside, something like this.
Okay, so there's this sort of, it brings up these other kind of cultural or social issues, which again is really interesting. So linked to other social issues. Okay.
I want to know, Fatima, where is Fatima? Where is Fatima?
She's in Jordan.
I live in Jordan. I live in Jordan.
Jordan. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I won't click next. I will go back to the top there. And does anybody have any questions about any of these questions on this page?
I don't know if in the next page you will speak about WhatsApp post. What means WhatsApp post?
So let's click next. And then the
Okay.
WhatsApp post. So this is specifically for Mosaic, this page, Carmen. So the way that they've developed this move to online learning is to kind of have WhatsApp as a sort of support communication channel, or as a support tool for the formal learning. So they're using WhatsApp. And I think, Carmen, do you use WhatsApp? Well, do your teachers use WhatsApp? I seem to remember reading something that you also use it.
Yes, in this moment, we will use the WhatsApp. It's really new for us. For us, WhatsApp now is a platform that we can use another resource like emails, like PDF files. We can share this in WhatsApp with voice notes, and we can develop different lesson, different files. Yes, for us,
Right.
It's new, this use of the WhatsApp.
Yeah, and I think it's Ben may have gone to his other meeting now, but Ahmed, Fatima, any of the Mosaic people, is WhatsApp new to your Mosaic teaching, or have you been using it for a long time?
No, we've been using it for a long time. Even in the training, actually, we use like the WhatsApp group to communicate.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I've done many online courses, and we almost all the time use WhatsApp group as like the main way to communicate.
Great. So for us as researchers, what we want to be able to do when we read your data entries is see how your use of WhatsApp is similar and different in these very different parts of the world. So Carmen, on the one hand, her teachers will be uploading data and answering very similar questions, but they'll be doing it in this new practice of using WhatsApp. Whereas, you know, the Mosaic teachers, you're going to have more expertise and more experience using WhatsApp. So what we've already got there is one technology being used as a support mechanism for formal language learning, or whatever Carmen's teachers are teaching. But in the case of Mosaic, to support a language class. So, you know, we've, you know, and then the same, you know, we've got our 2-3 other partners as well who are also using WhatsApp, but in different ways. And really that's kind of at the heart of what we're trying to find out. What is the relationship between these technologies? What's the relationship with language? What's the relationship with migration? Okay, so I'll just quickly imagine I've uploaded a WhatsApp content in question 24. And then at what time did the post start? I don't know, one of the other Mosaic teachers, could you help me out and guide me through one of your WhatsApp postings?
Yeah. What should I tell you?
Right. Is it Aisha? Yeah. So
Yeah,
Aisha,
yeah.
when, thinking of maybe one that you used today or recently, could you tell us a little bit about what the WhatsApp postings were about?
Yeah, just a second. I posted yesterday. I posted some words that we discussed in the Zoom. So sometimes, because like sometimes if the students have like some vocabularies, they're wondering what they mean in English, I wrote them in the chat, and then when we finish at the end of the session, I translate them in Arabic. So I send this to the group. That makes that helped you?
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's a really good example because we haven't had one yet directly about translation. So let's just imagine that how long would you spend making that one posting about the translations into Arabic of the key vocabulary from that lesson? How long would that take?
Well, it depends how many words are there to translate. So there weren't a lot like yesterday. So maybe it took me 15 minutes.
Perfect. Okay, so imagine let's just say I started at 13:15 yesterday and finished at 13:30. Okay. So this did it relate to COVID-19, the example that you've got in your head from yesterday? No, that's okay. So we'll say no for now, because that's obviously going to happen. Not everything that we do at the moment is related to COVID-19. Was this post or content directly related to your lesson plans for this week? So it sounds like yes, it was. Could you just say again how it was related to the lesson?
Yeah, it was like we were discussing. I give them like an activity to write about everything they would like to write about at the beginning of the session. So some of the words were from these students, like when they were writing, they didn't understand what this word in Arabic means in English, and the rest we were expressing how to express their opinion. So they were talking, and I wrote those things like in the chat while they were speaking from their speech. So it's just there is no specific topic for this.
Okay, so that's a fantastic example because I've never come across that before. So here you've got a situation where if you were in a physical setting, it's not always easy to stop the lesson and deal with unknown words. For example, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But you can't keep stopping a lesson with target language to translate for the learners who don't understand. But here you've got this situation where the technology is allowing you to be involved in multiple activities. Your students are in front of you on Zoom, but you're able to communicate through the chat on WhatsApp. Now, I'm going to try and write in this box something that explains that process, because that's what we're trying to get to. So I wrote the words in the chat that I wrote the words in Arabic in the chat.
In the chat in English.
Oh, you wrote them in where they were discussing in Arabic and you wanted them to learn in English?
Yeah. No, they were discussing in English, but if there's something they don't know, I tell them, and I write the word in the chat. And then after the session, I wrote the words in Arabic and in English and in Arabic.
Okay, so I wrote the words in Arabic and in English in the chat after the lesson, so that the students had a record of new vocabulary. Okay, so what we'd need in that box is a clear explanation of how the technology was used at that point. So that putting the words in Arabic and English in the chat, for example, is really different to putting them in English during the lesson. You're using the same technology and a similar pedagogy, but actually it fits into the lesson in quite a different way. So what we would want is that you use the space in this box to say exactly what you did and how it supported the learning. Okay, so did others react to the post? So, well, Aisha, did anybody react? Yeah?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. Well, one student asked how to pronounce one of the words.
Okay. And was it, if yes, please select the language of interaction. What language did they do that in?
Oh, I don't know. They asked in English. They wanted to know it in English.
Okay. I wonder if we need to add a box there that captures the student's reaction. I mean, at the moment, you could include that in number 27. So there's plenty of space in 27 actually. I don't think we should. Yeah, let's not start adding boxes. Bernard's done enough work on this. You can say something maybe here. The students. Well, let's just say one student to try and keep it specific. One student responded by asking a follow-up question about pronunciation.
Yeah. Yes.
Spelled incorrectly. Pronunciation. And then you could say, I'm getting a bit carried away now, but so I gave him the word stress of the new word in a new WhatsApp message. So I know that's not what you said, Aisha, but it shows how there's a little bit of back and forth between the teacher and the learner. It gives it a language focus. So you showed the word stress on the new word, and it shows how you used WhatsApp to follow up on that. Again, is something really different to what we would do in a classroom. Maybe there are similarities. We'd use the whiteboard or not. Okay, so any questions about any of the questions on this page?
I have a technical question about this page. For example, if the teacher begin to work with this page and suddenly the internet is out, what the teacher put in the page is recorded, or they lost the information. I have this question, for example, to Bernard.
Yeah, unfortunately, you lose the information, so you may want to maybe type it out in Word. I think we can also, unfortunately, until you click submit, all your entries will be lost if you lose power or if you lose your internet connection, unfortunately. So that's basically how the technology is. So it's not much we can do about that.
So maybe to type first in Word, for example, and then just copy paste the
Yes.
information will be safer.
Secure, it's safe, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you have problems with the internet or with power, I suggest you type it out before you do that.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question, Tony.
Yeah.
Do you have, are all these teachers working with all sorts of ages? So the population, the students are children, adults, or are they, do you have any specific age group?
For Mosaic,
Yes.
yeah, I think, are they adolescents? The Mosaic people can answer that. Are your students young adults? Aisha or Fatima?
They're mostly students between 18 and 30 years old.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so what we're interested there is like who, not age so much as these are young men and women who've been displaced because of conflict, and are I mean, the sort of the purpose of the Mosaic lessons, if I've understood correctly, is to help them continue with their education. They need English to continue in higher education in Jordan. So age becomes important for us looking at migration. It becomes important because obviously different age groups are affected in different ways by conflict. And one of the ways that they're affected is that, you know, in moving through those kind of learning trajectories. So yeah, age is relevant in the sense of that Mosaic's rationale is to keep people in higher education, or get them into higher education. Any other questions? Is there anything I've forgotten, Bernard?
No, Tony, I can't think of anything. I think that's it. Maybe anonymizing the what they attach if they do feel there's some details they don't
Yeah,
want.
do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yes, when you're attaching any of the screenshots or anything you want to share with us, and you feel there are some details in the image that you want to share, you can always anonymize, use Paint, the software Paint, or just to rub out or erase out, or to cancel out the parts that maybe you don't want us to, or you don't want to share with us. Maybe relates to names or places or some other personal details that you think are private and personal. You can erase those out before you upload them. Excellent.
That's okay. So I don't know if you can hear. Yeah, Frybert?
Yes, so just to be clear, so you want, you know, every day teachers will upload or will collect two texts. So do we want this text to be one related to classroom activity and the other one non-specific to classrooms?
Yes, correct. So just to reiterate that point, for each of the 4 or 5 partners, all the community researchers, what we're calling the community researchers, the teachers, that they're all, well, and for Cara, you know, the academics, they're all completing the first page, the same first page, but then they all have a different second page related to their either professional practices or teaching practices. So that was why I thought it would be good if you and Carmen came along today to see how our partner that is working with teachers, what their second page looks like. The Council for At-Risk Academics, they've got a very different second page, and Reading Refugee Support Group have got a very different second page. But this page that you've just seen today, it could be something that we use when we design your page 2 for the Venezuelan teachers. Okay, so I've just got a note saying 5 minutes and then we'll get kicked out of Zoom again, which could focus our thoughts on final questions, final comments. Olivia, is there anything your end? Olivia will see the data as it comes in. Is there anything that you want to add about what you like to see when the data comes in?
No, I think you covered it all. It's really nice to meet all of you. So as Tony said, I will be looking through the data entries and logging them. And if you have any questions or concerns, then you can always email. Yes, I'll be sending an email soon with your login information. So attached will be our emails, and also I'll also try to include our social media pages, which we include at the bottom. So if you'd like to follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you can.
Great, thank you. And we'll be developing another training for a little bit later on. Once you are confident uploading this kind of data, we're going to expand on some of the questions to try to capture more of the detail and more of the kind of the intricacies of the relationships between these different practices. But hopefully for now, that is enough to get you started. So the initial sort of contribution is two weeks of data collection, 14 days of data collection. We say that because if you do that every day for 2 weeks, and you put in plenty of detail, you'll be ready for a little bit of a break at the end of that. And it also gives us time to have a look at the data and to do a sort of a review of that. And then we start again the following month with another 2 weeks of data collection. So my preference is that you, to the Mosaic teachers, that you get started as soon as possible, because we've already got 2 partners who are up and running now. And it would be nice to sort of be able to view your data alongside their data. Obviously, COVID-19 is affecting different parts of the world in different ways and at different speeds. But you know, we want to keep that sort of momentum going. So if you could start as soon as you get your details from Olivia to upload the data, and we will respond to any questions that you have if there are issues that come up. But for now, I think, unless there are any more questions. Friday, yeah.
So these 14 days have to be, you know, in 14, it cannot be broken. It has to be during 14 days. Okay. 2 weeks.
I mean, again, if you can't submit data one day, that's not a problem at all. But okay. Otherwise, we do say, yes, keep it as consecutive as possible, because we want to, well, we will be analyzing for patterns in the data. We'll be looking at connections and associations that start to emerge when you're, you know, particularly something like teaching language. You know, I would hope that your lesson plans have some sort of systematic kind of development to them. I mean, it doesn't have to be very fancy, but, you know, if you're trying to teach a particular skill, or you're trying to teach a particular grammar item, or even if it's a debate or a discussion that unfolds or develops over a number of days, then if you've been keeping your data collection consistent, then we can see those practices in the data. Okay, brilliant questions. Thank you, everybody. And do get in touch with us if you've got any more questions. Thank you, Carmen and Fribet, for joining us. We'll speak separately. Thank you, Bernard and Olivia. Thank you, Jordan. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you all soon. Good luck with the data collection.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Nice
Bye.
to meet you all.
Thanks, Tony. Bye bye.